Not much. What's going on, bud?
Same old, same old. So, what do you think? What do you think? Who do you is maybe one of the best actors of all time? I mean, it's a broad question. You almost have to put it down to like a sectional, maybe generational.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, possibly. I don't know. I mean, if you just look at diversity of what characters can play, I mean, for me, probably like a Leonardo DiCaprio, a Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves. Cats like that can just kind of do a lot of different things. They're known for a lot of different things.
That and they've been doing it for a long time.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
long time.
Leo. I think one of his first roles I remember was What's Eating
Gilbert Grape.
Gilbert Grape. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I would say that was probably that, and I mean, he did an amazing job just in that.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't very old. I don't even know how old he was in that film, but he was young. He
That
got
and Inception. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once Upon a Time in
In
Hollywood.
Hollywood,
That's a
that's up
good one.
there.
That kind of shows some range. Django was one that he was known for. I mean, that one's a little tricky on everybody's in there, but
Well, that and the
still good.
improv scene that he did.
Yeah.
It was so good that they kept it, which we can go along with that, saying that I think we both agree that Quentin Tarantino is probably one of the best directors of all time. It's a
Oh yeah.
vibe.
Yeah. For sure.
It's definitely a vibe, but uh, most everything that he puts out, if you're in a good mood and you have some time on your hands, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that. Especially with him, and then like another one too that I mean is pretty well known for his movies. That it's always created phenomenal movies. Is like a James Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
With all of that. It's just always phenomenal. You know.
I think he got some slack because of all the exploding stuff and everything else. But honestly, like, let's be honest. I think people get jaded with certain movie series too quick. Like, take Transformers. His first three, the third one didn't rank really well, but I actually enjoyed it. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Which I mean, any kind of series, except for, and they even had it too. But I mean, I always thought that it's like one of as far as in a series aspect, it's like it's pretty hard to beat like a Harry Potter. You know what I mean? Because that's always people can just watch those back to back to back to back, and it's always running some channel on TV. They're always
it's
It's like
always been.
you want to watch Harry Potter, it's on somewhere. I promise you, they're always running a marathon.
Well, the good thing about those is we knew from the get go that was going to be a long series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 8 movies. I'm glad that they didn't split up the rest of them. But to be genuinely honest, just their corresponding from book to movie was really good.
Right.
Really good. That kind of brings me to think about like iconic actors. So like, I know that they can reboot Harry Potter, just like they've done like with Batman or Spider Man, to where we all have our own.
Mm-hmm.
But Daniel Radcliffe, I mean, that cast that they got for Harry Potter. It's to me, it's going to be really hard for them for another director to capture something so perfect, almost in every aspect.
I mean, if they was to remake it, it would be very difficult. But it's also kind of one of those things too, where it would be difficult for us
Well, yeah,
because we grew up with the kids that also made the movies. We all kind of grew up together, so it was, you know what I mean. We almost could follow along in the books because we were all damn near the same age every time.
every time.
Now if you was to remake it nowadays with a younger group
Mm-hmm.
and just had them do the exact same thing, well, for us it's not the same, but for the younger generation that maybe doesn't or hasn't seen the older Harry Potters yet, it's like they might fall right back in love with it.
I don't think they like a lot of teenagers realize how big that series was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've just I think the first book came out in '97, and I mean it went. I mean, dang near I think 2011, if I remember right.
Right.
I mean, that's 3 decades. It was.
But that kind of shows it right there. If it come out 96, 97, I mean, we're 5, 6, 7 years old.
Yeah,
We're growing up right with them.
right with.
Right with them. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of one of those. And then by the end of it, I mean, it's kind of one of those where they're portraying what 16, 17-year-old kids, but
Mhm.
hell, we was all like 20 years old, 21. It's just like, oh shit, it's like, how are they still playing that?
To this day, I still think the one that kills me in that whole series was in, I don't remember her name, but we've said this before, like giving credit where credit's due, even to like the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that lady,
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
remember her name, but she plays that. She
Mm-hmm.
works for the Ministry of Magic, and she has them like makes them right, and then it writes into
Oh
their
yeah.
skin.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta give her credit because I hated her even in the book just as much in the movie.
Right.
Not the person, just the character.
Oh no, I mean the actress
Oh,
does a phenomenal
job.
and that's the funny thing about it because I don't know. There's certain actors that have that. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of one of those where they're so good that in the movie you hate them,
Oh,
and even like seeing them in another movie, you're just kind of like, oh, that's that. Ooh, I know her. Kind of thing. And it is kind of funny too because a lot of those characters that have that kind of where they can get at you a little bit, you know what I mean? Where it just irks you just enough, or you're just like, oh, that son of a bitch. You know what I mean? It's like kind of one of those.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny too how a lot of those actors and actresses can go to another movie and it's the same feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You get it the same way. You know what I mean? It's like they can portray something like that so much. And I tell you one, and I know that we'll probably talk to about it here in a minute, but one that always struck me is like whenever I watch his movies, he plays the same guy, regardless.
Just different environment.
Just different environment, different scenarios, but he is the same guy every time, and that's Robert Downey Jr. It's if you look at his movies, I mean, it is hard to not watch those movies and be like, that's Tony Stark, that's Iron Man.
Yeah, like
Look,
with or without money, it's Iron Man.
It's Iron Man. And I know that like there's certain people like that. It's like, oh well, they'll always be like Thor, and they'll always be Iron Man. They'll always things like that. And it's still one of those where it's like, but there's a lot of like Robert Downey Jr. movies that I absolutely love that is not in the Marvel universe. Of course, like just throw out a stupid one, but I always thought it was hilarious was Tropic Thunder. Like that one to me was always hilarious. But then like The Judge, that's a movie that Robert Downey Jr. movie that's like very serious, and kind of hits the heart feels a little bit, but it's still good.
He's just the crazy thing to me about let's talk Marvel for a moment. So when I think Robert Downey Jr. and like everybody else, yeah, I'm thinking Iron.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I don't believe you have a long-lasting, successful in Marvel universe without him playing that part.
Right.
I mean, he nailed it. He nailed it. He's right there with Daniel Radcliffe as far as Harry Potter. And I think that sure they would have made it work because Tom Cruise was actually who they were going to give that role to, and then he actually asked Tom if he could have it.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what was going to become of it.
Right.
But all three Iron Man movies were amazing. Let's not even start with Civil War and all the other ones that he was in, and Avengers. I mean, long lasting as well. I mean, he's been in over, I think it was 10 total movies.
Yeah, and and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the first, quote unquote Marvel movie, what that was, like what kind of.
I think it was Iron Man. I think that was the kickoff.
That's
what
to me, like for that phase or whatever, it's like Iron Man to me is what kicked it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was
big.
Yeah, what was that? Like 08 or 07, like something like that. I mean, it's been a long time ago now, obviously. Man. I mean, we're damn near going on 15, 20 years, which is insane to think, It's like, even if it was made in 2008, like, man, that's been a long time ago.
And they're not even done necessarily with that saga because, I mean, you can finish it at the snap,
right.
But that being said, the leftovers, like the Far From Home or No Way Home from Spider-Man, the new Doctor Strange movie, and Thor, and I think there's one more that was supposed to come out. Oh, Guardians. Guardians might be the last one. The third Guardians movie might be the last one
for that
whole saga.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna do another one with Spider-Man. If they do, I feel like Tom Holland's on his way out, and I like Tom Holland. for me, of course, Spider-Man's always going to be Tobey Maguire.
Right.
I like all of them. I love what they did in the Marvel universe and kind of made that uh, multiverse go on and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Spider-Man. I almost actually messed up. They would say that Spider-Man kicked off everything for Marvel in general, right?
I mean, yeah, for sure.
That's what, but it's not true.
I know what actually started it.
Do you know?
Daredevil.
Close.
What was before Daredevil?
There is one person who does not get enough credit, and it was Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah, Blade.
Blade.
Yeah, Blade.
Actually,
that is true because Blade came out long time ago. He did actually kick.
He did.
He did because they're starting to they're bringing that back now.
It's on a writer's strike now.
Is that what it is?
I don't know the whole thing. I think some people want it to be rated R and they're wanting it PG. It has to be R.
It has to be rated R. Yeah.
No, I mean because look, Wesley Snipes. First off, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's actors that could definitely do it. Don't get me wrong, but that also comes back down to generational. We're old. You know what I mean? We're getting old. It's kind of one of those where it's like. Well, I mean, if we want to see the Blade, it's like, yeah. I mean, I want it to be Wesley Snipes. I mean, that's who it needs to be, right? You know, but at the same time, it's like, but it doesn't.
The actor they had for him, I don't remember who it is, but I saw some clips and stuff. It's like he looked good. He looked like they made him look very, very similar.
Yeah.
So
which that ought to be really cool because that is funny because, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about Blade. That was such a good movie.
And it does hold. Even though it's a rated R.
Was that like mid-90s?
Dude, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look.
For some reason, I was wanting to say like being like 98 maybe or something like that.
Well, I know Spider-Man came out when we were in middle school because I love that movie. First off, I love William Dafoe. So him playing the Green Goblin, I had my reservations, but I mean, proved me wrong.
Oh, dude. No better one to do that one for sure.
1998.
98. Okay, so I was close. I was like 97, 98. I thought it was right around that range. Now look at Daredevil. See when that...
Spider-Man was 2002.
Okay. I actually think Daredevil was before that, though, wasn't it? I thought it was like the year 2000.
2003.
Oh, all right. So it was Spider-Man, and then Daredevil.
I think that movie gets a lot of hate.
Daredevil?
We went to the theaters and watched it.
Daredevil,
I enjoyed it.
Here's the thing. It's, well, of course, and it's like, you know, Ben Affleck and things like that. It's like, we get it. But at the same time, it's like, man, for the time, that movie was awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jennifer Gardner in it, Colin Farrell. It's like,
Bullseye.
Oh, and then you had, oh, man. Oh, who was Kingpin? I missed that guy, too.
Yeah, because he passed away.
Yeah, he did. He was in The Green Mile.
Michael Duncan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he is awesome.
Which is hilarious because another thing is, so Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he was in that movie, too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's so funny is I didn't know until you told me, and then I actually talked to somebody at the store about it. About like him being a producer.
That's what, yeah.
So Jon Favreau, for those that don't know, most of you who have watched the Marvel series, he plays Happy or Tony Stark's assistant.
Yep.
And I mean, he's a major player in Hollywood, man.
Dude, massive.
Because he did all of Mandalorian.
Man. Oh, people don't realize, like, I mean, he's been like an executive producer or like the producer for so many of those Marvel movies.
And Chef, the movie Chef.
The movie Chef is absolutely phenomenal. But see, that was his baby, and you could tell by the cast that's in it because, you know what I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is in that. The Black Widow, whatever her name is, she's in it. You know, all kinds of just phenomenal actors and actresses in that, you know. His wife is oh man, I forget her name too. I think she's in like Modern Family, or was in Modern Family or something.
I was trying to find what else he produced, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. He's definitely underrated as well.
Oh,
I mean, just as a whole.
Yeah.
But going back to like Spider-Man, dude, I mean, Blade was great, and it got a trilogy out of it.
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, the original one. I mean, I know the last one came out our senior year because me and Jeremiah skipped school to go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we actually went to school the first hour or not. I doubt I did, but
Doubtful.
I'm pretty sure because we drove up here to Sedalia to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we waited in line 3 or 4 hours. And after we were in line, I mean, literally, we were the second ones in line, I think. And I mean, after we got there, it filled up the whole parking lot. I mean, all the way down. But yeah, we watched that one, the premiere of it. It was great. Really enjoyed it. Now, how about this one? What about Batman?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're Batman.
Michael Keaton.
He's not.
Michael
really
Keaton is Batman.
Batman.
Always will be.
But we can get
the other ones are just
Christian Bale is
posers.
definitely
They try to be Batman. They do okay. I mean, the world's greatest triers for sure. But Michael Keaton gets it done.
I think Michael Keaton's a phenomenal actor. Is he Christian Bale? No, but
better.
Yeah,
better all around for Batman. For Batman, I'm just saying.
That's not true.
Just saying.
Deep down, you know.
Just saying. It's just fan service now. Who'd they bring back? Michael Keaton, because he is Batman.
You know what really irks me though is like at the end of the Christian Bale series, they brought
let's be real here. It's like was phenomenally the better series. Like let's not be stupid.
It had
Christian Bale's Batman's. It's like because of the time.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's all exactly. It's still like generational.
If they could get Michael Keaton, which they're about to,
right?
I mean, look. Just in the previews of him body slamming people and stuff, it's like,
yeah,
but
it's also kind of one of those things too, where it's like, I guess why I love the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton style Batman the best. You know what I mean? In those kind of movies, was just for the simple fact, it's like, man, we have Michael Keaton, and that was just a phenomenal series as far as like from his Batman and like the villains and things like that, and then getting into, oh man. What was the other one? It's not George Clooney, but
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
Mm-hmm.
See, he was kind of hated on as Batman, but it's like I like him too. Honest to God, the only one I didn't like was George Clooney.
I didn't like George Clooney. I think it's not. It was more the story. Yeah. I think they had the right cast for him.
Mm-hmm.
But the writers didn't do them justice because even the guy that played Robin.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was good. The girl from Clueless played Batgirl. I mean, you had an all-star cast.
They all did.
And we all know Jim Carrey killed the Riddler.
Oh, man.
And Arnold killed
Mr. Freeze.
But I think it was just that they made it almost too cheesy.
And, and there's parts of me, it's like, there's parts of me that actually does like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Just
because it's like, I'll pile the cheese on. I like cheese. You know what I mean? But, then again, then you watch like the new Batman with whatever his name is, and then Christian Bale's Batman. It's like, man, those are just dark and like gloomy and kind of real, and it's one of those where it's like it's better in a sense of like this is more realistic, but at the same point in time, it's like some of the other goofball stuff. It's like, well, I still kind of enjoy that aspect of it too. It's like it needs to be a little bit far fetched and ridiculous.
Robert Pattinson. To me, that whole movie, I think it got hate too, and I loved it because
great movie.
One, if you actually listen to what they're saying, he's only been doing it for 2 years,
right?
Which means he's
brand new.
Yeah, it's like we're just now getting the Batman that's like worked out all the kinks.
I mean, he's in his infancy.
I'm sure Batman. That like he practiced his superhero landing like 8 times and was just like, damn it, right. Just hurting himself and. But now, he has definitely kind of got his groove, but he hasn't figured out people.
Mm-hmm.
Because, spoiler, if you don't want to hear it, at the end of it, he doesn't necessarily win. So he reaches out to help a kid up because he realizes it's like people need to know he's a symbol of hope, not just somebody out there. Mm-hmm. Like, if you do bad, I'm coming to get you or something. It's like, no, he's looking for real bad guys, and he's trying to help you all by doing this. But I like the fact that he didn't necessarily completely win.
Mm-hmm.
That just shows that's a good story building. I mean, that's a young Batman.
Yeah.
So, I like that.
I also like Pete Holmes as Batman too. If you ever get on like Comedy Central, he's the man. He does a great job. Pete Holmes, my boy. But but yeah, excuse me. But yeah, there's a lot of those movies kind of like that. But like talking about like favorite Batmans and things like that. It's and how generational it can be. Superman is by far the exact same way. Because I mean, you get into the older generation, like my dad and your dad and people like that. It's like who's Superman? It's like, well, Christopher Reeves.
And I've watched them all.
I have too. And
I've
here's
watched
the thing.
them all.
I love Christopher Reeves as Superman. He is Superman. But in my mind, he's like granddaddy. You know what I mean?
I know our Superman.
Kind of. I was just who I compare him to.
Yeah.
Is like damn, and I am drawing another blank for a name right now. But it was like the OG Batman.
Oh.
And he's a huge actor. Oh my Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we got to get his name.
I know who you're talking about.
But it's because it's one of those where it's like
Adam West.
Adam West. It's like, dude, there's some hardcore ones out there. It's like, oh no, people.
Yeah, you can't forget Adam West.
No, but to me, it's
R.I.P.
Like,
by the way.
Exactly,
yeah,
but it's like that's like granddaddy Batman, kind of like Christopher Reeves. Like that's like granddaddy Superman.
Well, and again, it comes with the time and what they're able to do. It's like a lot of people go, well, that first Superman movie, he flew around the Earth and reversed it, and then
to reverse time.
and they're like, it's like, guys, that's what they had to work with. That was it.
Exactly. It's a fairy tale fantasy story. It's like, yes, we understand if he was to do that, he just killed everyone.
Yes.
We all understand that. It's like, we get it.
Dead.
Yeah, he would come back to nothing. And it's like, oh. But, but it is what it is.
Another group of superheroes that don't get enough credit, X-Men. So Charles Xavier, you want to talk about iconic roles, and Patrick Stewart, definitely amazing job there. Hugh Jackman to us, that's Wolverine.
Always will be.
And most of the other characters did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's your favorite X-Men aside from Wolverine? We got to take out the obvious one.
Yeah, oh, yeah, because, I mean, Wolverine obviously would be my favorite one.
I think I know who it is.
If I had to,
because you've told me many times in the Apocalypse, that was your...
Well, and I don't know, man. It's one of those, like, it's tricky. If I had to think, because, like, I always did like Angel. I mean, he was awesome, dude. Angel was...
When he gets metal wings...
Dude, when he gets his metal wings, it's like, dude, that's nasty. It's like, that dude...
Shields, flies,
throws them and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's pretty nasty. But, if I had to think back, like, some of them that I do really like, though, I mean, it's like honorable mentions for sure. It's like, I did like Sabretooth. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those where it's like, I wasn't always a fan of the good guys. It's like, you always have to, you want the villains,
well,
too,
people love Magneto.
And I love Magneto as well. But here's the thing. In movie ways, it's like when they're all younger. Oh, in my mind, it's one of those where it's like, oh, there's nobody more badass than Magneto.
Oh, he's dangerous.
It's like
he is literally
I love that they portray that in the movie to be like, no. It's like, this is a different breed. It's like Charles Xavier is a different breed. It's like, but so is Magneto. It's like, this is formed from a thing of rage and agony and anguish and betrayal and things. It's like, people will never understand that.
Yeah, he goes to that dark place
that is
all the time. Well, we watch that. It's so funny because we watched that video where Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
he's talking with Bill Burr, and he's like, and Bill Burr's bringing up like, oh, this guy came up to this woman's daughter and was grabbing papers out of her hand, ripping them off, and then like they show the clip, and I mean he's being aggressive. He's not shaking the girl or anything, but he's like grabbing her by the wrist and like trying to get the papers out. Yeah. Who knows? Probably political crap, but the girl is 12. She does
severely uncalled for.
Yeah, and Rogan's just like instant. Like he's like, if that was my daughter, man, it's like I'd be in an orange jumpsuit. And then he just kind of goes quiet.
Yeah, and Bill's like, Joe, it wasn't your daughter. You went to a real dark place there.
He's like, come back. It's
Yeah.
like it didn't really happen and stuff. And it's like I feel like that's Magneto, like that dark place for him constantly. And it's like nuts.
Well,
man.
I mean, because it's kind of one of those things where it's like when you get to like looking at like villains, obviously, like to compare. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, man, you look at Magneto and like the first, and I know it's not the same kind of thing, but one of the first ones that I actually like half-ass compare him to, it's like in a whole different thing, but it's like Darth Vader. You know what I mean? Because that's another one. It's like there is so much good in both, but the world
has just tainted it.
It took that choice away.
Well, yeah.
There was no choice
you
for those
saw
guys.
that with like Anakin as he developed into him.
Exactly. That's why, and like the younger group of like the X-Men coming up. I'm so happy that they did that.
First Class was really, really good.
Phenomenal. I it's like, are those the greatest movies? It's like, by no means, people. It's like, but it's the story. It's like I like actually getting the backstory on some of these people to understand what the hell's going on. Like, why are they that way? Because here's the thing. I wasn't the hugest comic book guy. I had comic books, but I didn't, you know what I mean? I wasn't really into that as a little kid.
And you know me, I have my collection.
Exactly.
But they're all hardcover.
Oh,
I redid it. But I'm not one to say, I think people get this backwards. It's like, oh, it didn't follow the book. It doesn't happen. I've never been that guy that's been like, hey, it's like, you can look at 3 different comic book series. You can look at Spider-Man. You can look at The Amazing Spider-Man. You can look at Spider-Man 299. And it's like, they all have different stories. But in some ways, it's Peter.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you're going into the movies, you have to look at it as its own universe. You can't look at it in the aspect of this needs to follow it perfect and blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Well,
that's me.
But and I agree. I mean, because that's 100% correct. But it is one of those two where they have come a long ways now to make it seem that way. Because now you go, say, if you're going to go watch any kind of Marvel movie, it's one of those things. You're walking in there understanding you don't know what timeline you're getting ready to see. It can be anything, which that's what makes it great as for them moving forward. Because like that, it's like, well, people, it's like we may have another Iron Man movie come out. It doesn't necessarily have to be Robert Downey Jr. though. We have already seen it through Spider-Man. It doesn't have to be him. It can be somebody different.
When Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield came back.
Yep.
I mean, it's still I appreciate that as fan service
for sure.
For the simple fact that it didn't demolish their movies. It means like, hey, you can still go watch those, and they still have.
Yeah, but it made them canon.
Yeah, it made them canon.
Exactly. It's all real now.
So I love that. I love that they did that. To me, I mean, Spider-Man is the best superhero of all time. And I will stand by that for the simple fact is what I've always said makes great heroes.
The villains.
Yeah. There's no villain no superhero with more villains that have been portrayed or people know about. Think of it like Scorpion. We haven't seen him yet. But we have seen the Falcon, Mysterio, Venom, Carnage, Dr. Ock. I mean, Green Goblin, Hobgoblin. I mean, the list goes on and on. Craven the Hunter, and they're making a movie.
They're making a Craven movie.
I cannot express to you how ecstatic I am to watch that because I always felt like he was super underrated. And they have the Lizard. The Lizard was another one, which he wasn't necessarily full bad, but that is another one in there. I mean, that's just off the top of my. That doesn't go into the many villains.
But that's also kind of the thing. That's also the thing right there. You just said it. Just talking about the Lizard guy, whatever his name was. Yeah. And you're like, well, it wasn't full bad.
Dr. Connor.
Dr. Connor, exactly. It's like, wasn't full bad. It's like, no. But neither was any of them. They kind of proved that, didn't they? In a weird way, it's like, because just like that.
Oh, because Electrode, that's another one.
You know what I mean? Exactly. It's like
Sandman.
It's like they didn't start off as bad guys. It's just the circumstance of what they were given, and then they didn't know what to do with it.
And I guess that's why he's great, because Spider-Man doesn't kill.
Exactly.
because he believes in people.
Yep.
And I mean,
because there's good in everybody. That's the whole thing about Spider-Man, because there's supposed to be good in everybody. And here's the thing, of course, in any kind of superhero villain movie, that's always the battle, regardless. There's good in you. I know it's in there. Man. No, it's not. You're never going to find it. You know what I mean? It's like that's the back and forth. And you see it even with, I mean, I hate to keep going back, but it's like even like with Star Wars. It's one of those where it's like, oh no, was Anakin or Darth Vader? It's like
Kylo Ren.
Exactly. It's like, can they be evil and ruthless? Oh. It's like, oh, they can be the worst. But at the end of the day, like
they saved it.
Like they still have a heart. Like they're still good there. You know what I mean?
All right, let's have some fun. Batman versus Superman. First off, worst movie of all time.
Okay.
But who wins in a fight?
Well, Superman every time. It's not a battle. That's the problem. That's where people mess up. It's like, guys, no. It's like, I understand Batman has money. That's fine.
That's a great superpower.
But unless he can pay somebody else from Krypton to come fight Superman, it's like, it's not a winning battle, especially on Earth. Like, guys, no.
Well,
because he's human versus
every reason why that movie was bad.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off the moment the movie was over for me. First off, Batman supposed to be this great detective and stuff, and that's one of his innate abilities.
World's greatest
detective, and he can't figure out that Superman's not messing with him. Okay, so that to me was red flag number one.
Right.
Red flag number two. Superman flies down. Batman runs into him in the Batmobile. Okay, I don't know who cleans that up.
Right.
Self-destruct, I guess. Just blows up in the middle of the street.
Right.
But the moment that he crashes his Batmobile into him, it's like, it's over. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
He just looked at him and was like, stop.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't think Superman would have approached that way.
Right.
That's another reason why I find it ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like how it ended with their spoiler, but not really. I'm saving you time because it was horrible. When he was like choking him out and he said something like Martha, and both their moms are named Martha, and it's like, dude, horrible. And then they tried to fit in Doomsday and Wonder Woman all in the same movie. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just cramming, and none of it was good. Doomsday is its own story arc, people. Yep. Doomsday kills Superman.
Yep.
That is a bad person. Like, he has that name for a reason.
Yep.
He ain't one to trifle with. So I thought that whole movie sucked. But aside from that, doesn't mean that I hate the cast itself.
No.
Who wins between Batman and Iron Man?
Batman and Iron Man?
Yeah.
Iron Man.
I think Iron Man wins it too.
And the only reason I say that is because it's kind of one of those where it's like both of their superpowers is money and genius and detective work, things like that, right? Cool. But here's the thing. It's like, Batman, it's like he's got all kinds of fun toys and gadgets and stuff like that. It's like, but he has to like swing from building to building, and he still like runs and things.
He's
it's like,
too slow.
Exactly. It's like no. It's like Tony Stark. It's like his suit does all of that, and like he just controls it. And to me, it's like I don't even think it's a fight. I feel like Iron Man would destroy Batman very quickly.
Yeah, you're not going to sneak up on him.
No.
It's
not
practical.
No,
because he can see in the dark.
Exactly. He's got night vision. It's like, what are you going to do now, Batman? Can't hide in the shadows when I can see you in the shadows. You know, I don't know. But in my mind, it's kind of one of those where it's like, but here's the thing. You also have to understand, I'm biased, too. Because Iron Man, to me, it's like,
that's your boy.
That's my boy. It's like, you know, it's like, listen, there's only one cat that I think could beat him if it had to be done. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's Tom Wellington. That's my Superman.
You know the craziest part?
That's Smallville.
Oh yeah, Tom's the man.
He could get Tony if he needed to. I got all faith in my Superman.
Well, see, that's the great debate. This is why Superman is Superman. Okay, I'm going to explain this. If you we always talk about it, the Avengers versus the Justice League.
Yeah.
Who's the factor?
Superman.
Every time.
Every
time. It's like, because he can grab you and he can take you to space.
Yeah, I mean, Captain Marvel would be the only thing that could
and I don't think
But I don't think that she could do it.
because there's another member of Justice League that is criminally underrated. Again, DC writers, step it up.
Mm-hmm.
Green Lantern. Okay, because look, that's a core. Because everybody talks about Captain Marvel, and it's like, they have their own.
No, they have their own.
They have their own over there too, people,
Right.
and it's been around a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, just to me,
Well, longer.
yeah,
Right?
I would say, I don't know when
Green Lantern. Old. And here's the problem.
and we barely tapped into,
Dude,
tapped into the Green Lantern.
and that's the worst thing is because of course the one movie. And it's just horrible.
Oh, it was bad.
Everyone makes fun of it. It was a horrible. And
I like Ryan Reynolds, but man, that was bad.
and he knows that.
He kills Deadpool. Loves it. Love Deadpool.
Deadpool is amazing.
He's done great.
But yeah, it is. I agree. It's like, man, if they would come out with an actual like Green Lantern movie, done right,
Mm-hmm.
that would open up a lot of people's eyes to that. Because see, here, even to me, because I don't know the full story of Green Lantern. I love Green Lantern. You know, obviously, I mean, we know that.
Well, a lot of people have to understand that that's the one character you can actually change the actor because there is multiple that take place.
Exactly.
The first one actually becomes evil. And then you get another one, and then you get another one. There are different people, and that's just for willpower. Is green. There's multitude of rings. I mean, they talk about it when, like, if he gives Superman the ring, good luck.
Good luck. Yeah.
You know, but I think that's why Justice League between those two and Marvin the Manhunter or Martian or whatever his name is, which unless you know comics, he's lethal too on board.
Well, there's lots of those.
Yeah.
Sad. I mean, you know what I mean? In their own weird way. That's the.
I mean, I think that you could change it up. I think you could do Iron Man versus Cyborg. I think that would be cool because he's hacking and they're both kind of robotic.
That'd be kind of trick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could do Green Lantern versus Captain Marvel. Thor and Hulk. I mean, you could do Thor versus Superman. You can make that kind of work because he's a god. It could work. So, but and I think you take the Hulk versus Aquaman because water. Versus land. Yeah, I mean, there's ways you can make a movie like that work. But ultimately, I mean, the Flash is dangerous too. I mean,
and because that's the other thing that people don't think about too, and that is one thing that I absolutely love how they portrayed that.
Oh man,
in Smallville.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where it's like, Superman is fast.
He ain't as fast
but
as
he's
Flash.
not as fast as the Flash. It's not the same thing.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, season
4,
I believe.
Should be.
I mean, the kid did okay. He wasn't great. But him, it was a young Flash.
Oh, a kid.
Kid Flash.
Like 15,
and, and it's a kid Superman. I mean, he's a senior in high school at the time.
He's 17, 18 years old,
And so they're like, you want to go race somewhere? And they go state to state, and they're just having fun. And it's been going on for most of the episode and stuff like here, there. But at the end of the episode, he's like, well, I'm going to take off. And he's like, all right. He's like, you want to race? And like, sure. So that shows him running in, full speed with the bad graphics, waving past them, And Flash just like turns around and he's like tiptoeing backwards.
Yeah, he's running backwards.
And then he's just like, all right, man, I'll see you.
Yeah, just waves him.
And it's just boom, and he's gone. And it just stops Superman in his tracks. And he's like, what?
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, when you got Clark Kent, when he stops on the road and he's like, whoa. like all right, that kid's fast.
That's the real Flash.
That's real Flash. It's like this DC version. It's like,
I think that the show
portrays him great.
Pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Because it's developmental,
exactly.
and it's him getting faster and faster, and that's how it should be. It should be somebody developing. That's a DC shows Green Arrow, and Smallville, and
a lot of them were runoffs of Smallville too.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even think about it. It's like Green Arrow comes from Smallville,
Yeah.
I mean that
It's
what I mean?
where it got its
It's where it
popularity.
got its popularity. Yeah,
For
exactly.
sure.
It's like the story. I mean, the story.
Because they had Justice League in Smallville.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Oh, yeah.
Season 6. It was amazing.
But we were Superman kind of guys. You know what I mean? It's
Oh.
like I loved Smallville. I mean, Superman is always going to be
Well,
one
sometimes
of my faves.
that's
but
where I think DC has had the best success. But when you go back to Smallville, just developmental of Clark.
mhm.
If they wanted to do a spinoff where he was Superman, they could have done.
I wish
but-
they would have.
The saddest, I mean, we all know that he marries Lois.
Yeah.
He's one of the only ones that gets to probably truly get a good ending, per se.
Per se.
Because we know Spider-Man never does.
Nope.
It's like, sorry. Batman really doesn't either. Iron Man,
He has it for just a minute.
for a moment.
For a moment.
They have their glimpses, but most superheroes, the price they pay is their true happiness.
Exactly. It's one of those where, kind of like we always say, it's like it's in the superhero cases, like they don't get to go home happy. That's not the way that works, because it's all big picture thing, and that's the heartbreaking part of those. You know what I mean? It's like, and they portray it amazingly in the comic books. You know what I mean? But it's like, but when you get to watch it, like in a movie, when you're kind of invested that way, I mean, you could see it. It's like I'm big enough man to say it's like, oh, dude, when Tony Stark died, oh, spoiler alert, whatever. But when he died, oh, dude, it's like, what, 3 or 4 in the morning, I'm watching it at your house, I am crying in the living room by myself, and I'm just like, no! I was like, I wanted to turn it off, I'm like, it's all bullshit now, don't care, but obvious, I mean, it had to happen, but it's still, it's like, there's no cooler way.
Oh, if you're going to go out, because the moment of all that power, being like, hey, man, it's like, guess who's worthy,
Oh, exactly.
And just like, it's a beautiful masterpiece of a moment.
Yeah.
And man, I got to say this. Even though deep down we all knew.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're watching that movie, you know it's coming.
Oh, it's coming.
I mean, they're prepping you with Doctor Strange.
Exactly.
And stuff. And it's like, but that just goes to show sometimes, even though the audience knows, it's okay to do it.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that ending.
Yep.
Because I feel like when they always talk about what's the perfect ending, sometimes it's just one that closes it up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which, I mean, and it's so amazing because you can tell by just how, like, movies end and certain things in those movies, kind of like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then going into this latest Spider-Man, you see the same thing getting ready to happen again. And we're all sitting there watching it like, no, not again. And he gets her this time.
He gets her.
And it's just, and he gets to the bottom and he just breaks down. And you know what I mean? But we all are.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those where it's just like.
Well, in every movie death in Spider-Man. Because here's the thing. Spider-Man, again, this is why he's the best. Because he is the truest superhero there is. I mean, everyone, Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, Aunt May. That's all 3 of them in every movie that died.
Yep.
Okay? So he has to live those tragedies. But in the theaters, when he caught her.
Oh.
Dude, the applause. The 2 biggest applauses of that. Well, no, there was 3.
There was 3.
The first one, which we will get to, was with Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil. And he's Daredevil. Okay, I like Ben, but
he's Daredevil.
Exactly. Okay. That being said, the second one was Tobey Maguire. Andrew got a really good clap.
Oh, yeah.
It was like me in the theaters, like the old people were just sitting there, and it was like, all right, glad to see him, I guess. I was like, it's cool. But then the moment Tobey came out, I was like, freaking out.
That's what was great about watching it in theaters. Because it was legit one of those, like, when Tobey finally shows up, when he finally gets there, it is one of those where it's like, there had to be, man, it seemed like there was 100 people in that thing, but there had to be at least 80 of us that as soon as you showed up, we're like, it's Spider-Man.
Yep.
There he is.
It's
Spider-Man, guys. He's here to save the day. It's all good.
And the third biggest pop was when he caught her.
Oh,
That was
by far.
that was the third biggest
By
one.
far. Well, because it's one
The
of those.
meme was funny. When they redid the meme,
Yeah,
the back thing was funny.
yeah.
Um,
But it is. I mean, it's one of those where it's like just the heavy hearts as you're
Mhm.
watching it, and you're just like, no,
mhm.
because that's the thing. It's like they don't give you any indication that he's gonna catch her.
And
There's no indication of it. You're waiting. You're just like, not again. Like, son of a bitch, it's gonna happen.
I gotta
you
give
know?
Zendaya some credit.
Oh, dude,
Because in the first Spider-Man movie of Tom Holland,
Mm-hmm.
they got me. They got me. I mean, like, I knew she was like maybe gonna be a character or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really expect her to be Mary Jane,
Yeah.
and hilariously so. And it's like great. She changed my perspective on that because traditional. Again, this is where we go back to. It doesn't have to follow the book.
Exactly.
Always,
Yeah.
and she portrays a great Mary Jane,
Mhm.
and I think that there's some stuff there that shows that she's becoming a detective because Mary Jane was always actually pretty
Mm-hmm.
intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Uh, who?
Sad ending of that movie too.
Oh
Jeez.
yeah, man.
Jeez.
They never. It's like that's what I'm saying. He never wins. He never wins.
And it's kind of one of those where it's like, man, you just for the real life situations of what Spider-Man has put in, because I understand, it is one.
Well,
of
he's so young.
It's not even that though. It's even though he is enhanced, the human part of him is what connects the people. It just like me with a Tony Stark. He's not a god. He's not nothing. He's a human. He's a person. He has feelings and he has doubts and worries and fears, just like everybody else. It's hard to connect with somebody that like a Thor. I love Thor. I know he has the same things, but it's one of those where it's like, but it's hard to connect with
The
him.
only time people started connecting with him was after the snap
Yeah,
because he lost.
and he had a very human reaction to that. He had human emotions.
Got overweight.
He got overweight. He got depressed. Started drinking. Just stayed at the house. Didn't want to get out.
Hopeless.
Yeah, you lose hope. You see that in people because that's a very human thing.
Now, not to make this any more depressing, but can we go back to what we talked about? Because I was talking to a friend of mine, and I have not seen the new Guardians movie, so no spoilers there.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it either.
But this person, she goes, I think it's going to be a sad movie. And I laughed, and my reply to that was like, well, let's go into how depressing the Guardians of the Galaxy are.
Oh, man.
Who do you want to start with?
Oh, I mean, just start at the top.
Okay, so let's start with Peter Quill, or AKA Star-Lord.
Mm.
All right, so how did that go? Didn't know his real dad.
Nope.
Lost
his mom.
Gets adopted by aliens at a young age.
Yeah.
That are all outlaws.
Well, they're pirates. Yeah.
Turns around, saves the world, doesn't get any credit other than the fact he's not going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Loses or meets his real dad.
Yeah.
His stepdad dies.
Mm-hmm.
Has to kill his real dad because he's an a-hole.
Yep.
Loses his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
She dies.
Yep.
Then loses. Does he go away in the snap too? I think he does. I think he loses 5 years to the snap. I think he disintegrates. And then you have Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket.
That's the one. I mean, and here's the thing: it's like I haven't seen the new one yet.
No, I don't know.
That's gonna explain more of it.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I'm sure, but one of his own.
Yep.
So there's not. Apparently, at this moment, we don't think there's anybody like him.
Right.
And then Groot dies during the snap.
Baby Groot.
Baby Groot. Yeah.
The first Groot dies in the first one because he sacrifices himself
mm-hmm.
to protect everybody else, and then Baby Groot is born from that.
Yeah, like the Phoenix.
Yep.
And Groot is the last of his species.
Yeah, he's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gamora.
Yep.
Thanos is her dad. That's sad enough.
Oh,
he dies.
Yeah.
Her sister.
Yeah.
Her sister hates her. She dies. Her sister loses her and her dad too.
Mm-hmm.
Dax.
Yeah. Lost his wife. Lost his kid.
I mean, so if anybody wants to know the saddest story arcs,
Oh, gee.
it's like, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, oh, rough bunch of misfits. Like, no doubt, right?
Yeah.
Duh. Like, they're the most depressing people I could ever imagine. You know?
That's just it. I mean, when you start just looking at the stories of people like that, and you're just like, gee.
Well, and a lot of them like that. Superman.
Yeah. Superman. I
His
mean,
planet was destroyed.
yeah, he lost his parents, and you know,
That's
and then
wild.
and then loses his parents again. You know, it's like, you know,
That's the one person I couldn't.
he was my favorite character.
Was Jonathan Kent. I hated him.
He was a good dad.
He was a horrible.
No, he was
He
not.
told him all the wrong things.
He told him all the right things.
It never worked out good for him. I was like, bud, you got power for
Without
a reason.
here's the thing. Without Jonathan Kent, Clark would have killed so many people
No.
on accident.
For the betterment of the planet.
Yeah, on the football field. Exactly. Yeah, it would be like it'd be like if
That's the
No,
only
if Jonathan-
episode I agree with was the football episode.
exactly. Now, here's the
Okay.
thing, John. If Jonathan Kent was not in Smallville, you're basically watching like an episode of The Boys. It's horrible. Death,
You know who?
explosions of women. It's like, oh no.
I think I'll have to look his name up. But man, one of the best actors in all of Smallville was Lex's dad.
Mm-hmm. Lionel.
Lionel Luthor, dude.
Mhm.
Oh, you just never hear about him.
Mhm.
But once, like, Lionel was such a piece of garbage. I
But
mean,
he had to be.
he had to be.
He had to be.
He was
You know?
so bad. And that's one of those, again, when you love to hate somebody,
Mm-hmm.
like, there are parts in that show,
Oh, man.
you just hate him so bad for how he treats Lex.
How he treats Lex. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing.
So
It's like,
bad.
of course, everybody knows Superman. It's like, oh, Lex Luthor's the bad guy. It's like,
Lionel.
Lionel really was the bad guy. It's like, you have to understand with Alex or Lex, it's Lex tried to be good so much.
Lex
and
Luthor's actually Alexander. Just
Alexander, yes,
so if you don't know.
exactly. But it is one of those where it's like, but with Lex, he tried so hard and so many times to be good, and the world just shut him down because of his dad.
Yeah,
And
you're a Luthor.
Yeah, it's like just
Or
because of who his dad was. It's like people. It's like young Lex, like growing up and stuff. It's like he was not a bad guy.
He was an Anakin Skywalker.
He was an Anakin Skywalker.
That's why I
his
think people-
choices were ripped from him.
Every time.
Exactly, and it's one of those where it's like, and when
And you know who did that? Jonathan Kent.
no, I mean he did.
To be fair.
And that is a real thing. It's like Jonathan really. It was the work of Lionel and John. It was the dads, and it showed you that. And it's one of those where it's like, and they were in a weird way because it's good versus evil, but it's also one of them things too where it's like, man, there was so much similarities, and that's what took it all down. You know what I mean? It was like because they were so much alike because all they wanted to do was protect their son.
You know what else I loved about Smallville? And you're right. You're 1,000% right.
They were both just being dads.
Well, we had the introduction of, everybody goes green kryptonite. And that, like, season 2, red kryptonite.
Oh, that's a real Superman with red kryptonite.
Red kryptonite. And then, there was a lot of different types of kryptonite and how it affected him. Again, something we don't see. That's something we don't see in any other portrayal of Superman's character. In any movie or anything, it's just like green kryptonite, bad. It's like, guys, blue kryptonite makes him human.
Yeah, gets him to normal.
Like, there's probably a lot of people who didn't even know that. Red makes him falter to his worldly desires.
Exactly. It's like,
so he becomes Homelander.
Yeah, it basically turns him into Homelander.
Yeah.
Yep.
He just becomes kind of an a-hole, and you got to get him away from it.
Still a hero.
Yeah.
An arrogant
Oh,
hero.
very.
He's gonna let you know that he saved the day, and it's like, and you better thank me for it. But with Superman without the kryptonite, it's just like no one needs to know.
I think there's one that makes him stronger too. But
I think red actually gives him a little bit more oomph in a weird. I think that's the thing because kryptonite. There's so many different variables
you know what?
because there's black kryptonite
Oh yeah,
too, and
there's
that's
one that splits.
yeah.
The other thing that a lot of people don't know about Superman that which when we talk about Marvel versus
Mm-hmm.
uh
DC.
DC,
Mm-hmm.
magic does affect Superman.
Yes. Oh,
So
for
a
sure.
lot of people wouldn't take into account that the Scarlet Witch
That's dude.
can pretty much destroy Superman on the spot.
Well, that's and that's funny, and it sucks that we finally bring her up when it's time, obviously.
We're getting there.
But it is one of those two where it's like, but that's a whole nother thing in my mind. It's like, no, the Scarlet Witch, because in my mind it's like, well, that's an oddity there because it's a different thing, because it's a mutant for one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people don't think about that. It's like, no, she's a mutant,
Yeah,
just like X-Men.
To be fair, if you didn't know this, and it's ironic because they hint towards it in the movies and show, but they never do it. Again, following their own story arc. But her dad is actually Magneto.
Yes,
In the comics.
yeah,
And so is he is the father of her and Quicksilver.
yeah.
And like in the movies, they are twins.
They are twins.
They are twins, but he is their dad.
Yes, and that is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
People,
And that's why Quicksilver, if you didn't make the connection in X-Men Apocalypse,
yep,
kind of one of the reasons he's there.
exactly.
It's like they don't ever really say it, but
No,
I think his hair is silver.
mm-hmm.
It's like there's a reason for all that.
Yep.
Uh,
Because see, like the Marvel movies, they took it as in a little different way.
mm-hmm. It was
but
fine.
Which is fine. But it is one of those where it's like, but when you see her and her brother together, it's like that's straight from X-Men. Like understand, it's like they're mutants.
Yep.
These are not gods. These are not superheroes. They are mutants. Because when I first saw that, and I was just like, hey, that's you know what I mean? Because in my mind, I'm like, ooh, they're joining. Like this is two worlds. I'm like, but people aren't even understanding that aspect of it.
And Quicksilver would be an answer to
exactly.
to be fair.
He's not as fast.
I think Flash is always going to hold the title. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, Flash should be faster.
But it's just one of those where if they were to ever somehow make those movies, it could be really good.
Mm-hmm.
It could be really justifiable. But
I
think you have to do a Green Lantern arc, and I think it comes down to where obviously you don't have a winner,
mm-hmm.
and that's when you bring in somebody like Doomsday.
Yeah,
that's when you bring in the freaking cannonball of destruction
mm-hmm.
and show like, oh, it's not just some reptile-looking dude that's like, rah, rah, rah. It's like, no. Right. It's like bad person.
Yeah,
bad, and it's like he will destroy your planet. You can't just put him in space.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't die. So
mm-hmm.
that to me, I don't know. I feel like there's just so much there that's not.
And here's the other thing, and this is where I'm going to end it on. Where's Moon Knight? Where is Moon Knight? I need him back. I want him back. I need that storyline.
His like
that's
some
bad
people,
man.
Yeah, some
like,
people don't understand. So we just tapped into his personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got like 3 or 4. Like,
mm-hmm.
but it's a beautifully done. I mean, that actor.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and he's in Apocalypse.
Yeah,
he plays Apocalypse.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
But Moon Knight definitely underrated. Him
mm-hmm.
and Deadpool need to be in something together.
Man, yes.
I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3. It's gonna be good.
I think so. I think we've got a lot to look forward to, and like that, and then with Phase 5 coming up, with all of those new movies, in the Marvel universe and stuff, that's going to be phenomenal. And then we've got new DC stuff coming out too. Hey man, I'm all for it. It's like I'm more of a DC hater anymore, sadly, because of how good the Marvel series has been. But you know what? It's also one of them things too where it's like, but I'll still watch them. I'll give them a chance because I'm not a DC true hater.
You know who would beat both of those teams though? There is one group of heroes that could demolish the Avengers
and the Justice League.
Oh yeah, the Power Rangers.
Power Rangers, exactly. Go Power Rangers.
And
Yeah, man.
Why
Oh
did they not make a second one?
yeah. They need to.
It was good.
It went well.
There was just that little cheese too.
Now,
fan service.
But aren't they? Was
It was something on Netflix. It was something where they did like a Flash series, blah blah blah.
Because the Green Ranger, like he's a little bit older, and then the other Rangers find him. What's that?
That is Legend of the White Dragon. That's going to be because Tommy Oliver, who is played by Jason Frank. Mm-hmm. Okay, obviously Jason Frank passed away, but he had finished his production of Legend of the White Dragon, so that's going to come out. But I think they're really taking their time on it because obviously it was low budget. Mm-hmm. So after his passing, they want to do him a lot of justice and make sure that it gets the TLC it needs to be a good movie. Well, because it probably won't be in theaters, but I would go watch it.
And that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's kind of one of those where it's like, I mean, not everybody's huge Power Ranger fans. It's like we grew up with it. I mean, of course, we love Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers.
I talked about it in the last podcast.
I'm the red one. It's like I'm always the red one.
Yeah.
Boop, boop, but it is one of those two where it's like I hope that they do it like in a weird way, like pretty good. Because here's the thing. That Power Rangers movie, I've talked to a bunch of people about it. Everyone loved it. They were like, it's a great movie.
You didn't even get the Green Ranger. Well, you get the...
Yeah, but you're not this one. That's what I'm saying. This, because the little preview that I seen of the White Dragon or whatever, oh, bro. It's
look
like,
good.
Ooh.
And it's...
Because
look, is there still
it's dark, it's ominous.
Is there still a little cheese?
It's Power Rangers.
It's okay.
It's okay. Let them pile the cheese on.
If you want a dark movie, the other one that we need to talk about before we close, because I know we're right there.
Yeah.
The Last Ronin.
They need to do.
They have to.
I mean, I think just for fan service, and this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way, people, if you don't understand what The Last Ronin is, but that needs to happen.
Story arc is basically, because I do have the hard comic, no real spoilers. This is how it starts. So it is, there's only one Ninja Turtle left. You don't know why. He's the last one, and he's wearing a black mask versus any of the colors. So you don't know who it is. I do.
I do.
Yeah, because we read it. But there is some fan service clips online.
Yeah.
And boy, nails.
And it's also in thanks to where it's like, if you wanted to find out who it was,
it's not hard.
It's not hard to find. I mean,
no.
I mean, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But, wait a minute. Who knows? But yes,
all right,
that ought to be pretty good though. I'm excited for that.
I'm very excited.
I just hope that they make a movie. I mean, I understand the game stuff, but it's like, man, they need.
It could propel it. It could propel it.
I mean, and here's the thing. It's like, I know that little skit that they made that's online and stuff you can watch for The Last Run. It's like, it needs to be like that.
I agree.
It doesn't need to be ridiculous. It needs to be just like that. It's fine. We don't need craziness. Because here's the thing. It's like, even the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, it's like, they're still great.
I still love them.
We all still love them. It's like, it's obvious fake plastic craziness on them for costumes. It's like, but it's perfect. I don't need it to be any better.
The second one to me is just.
See, and I'm the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, it's one of those where it's like, I wish it was still like that now.
Did you know Kevin Nash, the wrestler, played Super Shredder?
You mean Master Shredder?
Or
Master Shredder?
Yeah, well, when he takes the ooze, he becomes Super Shredder.
So
when he come out,
that's right.
Yeah,
that was Kevin Nash.
That's Kevin Nash.
Ha, little wrestling thing there for you. That's cool.
Hilarious.
That's awesome, man. All right, I'm hungry. Let's wrap this up.
Wrapping it up.
Wrap it up.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
We hope you enjoyed our little movie talk. It's probably nothing that you probably haven't thought about, but
it's the most random stuff ever.
We like it. That's what it's about. Just changing it up.
That's fine.
If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for watching. And hey, we're going to go grab some grub.
That's right.
Y'all take care.
Thanks, guys.
Who are you?